Hi everyone, thank you for taking the time to listen to my character presentation. I am excited to talk to you about a character from one of my favorite TV shows. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I wanted to start out with an introduction of the character that I chose. Dr. Spencer Reid is one of the main characters in the TV show Criminal Minds. His character is portrayed by Matthew Gray Gubler. In the show, he is a BAU special agent who has PhDs in mathematics, chemistry, and engineering. He also has BAs in psychology, sociology, and philosophy. Spencer Reid is 38 years old at this point in the show. He is very close with the members of his team, and they all seem to look at him as if he is their younger brother on this show. Reid is very interested in education and is considered to be a genius due to having an IQ of 187. He also appears to be socially inept and has a very hard time talking to women especially. Growing up, Reid had a very tough family life. His mother had schizophrenia and stopped taking her medicine when Spencer was very young. As a result, his father had left them because it began to be too much for him, leaving Reid without a father. On top of this, Spencer Reid was known as the boy genius and was picked on by all of his peers at school. He ended up graduating high school at the age of 12 and immediately began to further his education because he was so interested in learning. Being that Spencer Reid is now 38, he is at the culminating phase of development. He has officially reached his max height and is no longer growing. He has limited sensory abilities due to his vision. During the show, he either wears glasses or contacts throughout the entire time. He has a relatively high reaction time, which is good in his line of work. He is also able to maintain his coordination, strength, and fine motor skills by staying in shape throughout his job. For cognitive development, I chose the concrete operational stage from Piaget's theory of cognitive development. I chose this because Reid thinks logically and critically. He uses literal and physical facts to come up with solutions to problems. I also chose the formal operational stage because he often thinks abstractly. He is creative and uses observations and examples when finding different solutions. Abstract thinkers tend to be successful in categories such as mathematics, philosophy, and science, while concrete thinkers seem to be successful in psychology. So it makes a lot of sense that Spencer Reid would be successful in all of these fields. A good theory to represent Reid is behaviorism, because an individual can observe his knowledge and growth through all of his actions. It is easy to see how intelligent Reid really is simply from his everyday actions that take place throughout the show. As for social development, Reid appears to be socially inept due to being bullied in his younger years because he was so much more advanced cognitively than his peers. Bronfenbrenner's bioecological model describes social development being based on nesting. An individual is nested in many layers of the things around them. Reid's tough family life, as I described before, and feeling like an outcast among his peers for his intelligence all had an effect on his social development. I also chose Erikson's psychosocial stage of intimacy versus isolation, because Reid is at a crossroads with his stage due to having a hard time with social interactions. I also chose these two images for this slide because it shows how Spencer Reid comes across as being socially inept. For example, when he says, "So she lived somewhere for 2 months and didn't make any friends. I thought that only happened to me." That shows how he is as a person and how he responds to people in his everyday life. For moral development, I would say Spencer Reid is at Kohlberg's conventional level of moral development. Stage 4 of this level is best fitting for Reid because it is the category of law and order. He follows along with this level because he takes into account laws and expectations. He obeys laws and authority and respects the social system. Reid seems to be a people pleaser and always puts all his effort into following the rules and helping others. He goes out of his way to take extra time to put into different investigations that the team has and works very hard with everyone they have. For motivation, I believe Stephen Rice's 16 Basic Desires is best fitting for Spencer Reid. I specifically chose curiosity, acceptance, and family because Reid seems to focus his motivation on acceptance and his family being his team at the BAU. He seems to want to be accepted and make his team proud, and that's why he works so hard for them. Spencer Reid has had a very hard time with feeling accepted throughout his life, and he finally has found that through his team, who has also become his family. He continues to work so hard because he knows his team will support him and would always be there for him. I believe another motivator for him is curiosity because he seems to always want to learn more and explore more things. This is why he would always further his education and explore new ways of learning. I also added these pictures because it shows how close he is with his team, and one of the members of his team even took their son's middle name as Spencer's to represent how much they mean to him. For Spencer's learning needs, I think that if he continued learning, I believe he would need socialization and tested boundaries. I think group work and putting him in charge of certain tasks would be beneficial for him and push him out of his comfort zone. It is important to push and motivate kids from a young age. I think Reid missed out on that because his teachers saw him as being too smart. If he continued his education, I think he would need someone that would support him and push him to be the best he could be.